Hi, everybody. Welcome back to video number 2. This section will be focusing on liberation. So, again, if the content becomes too much, feel free to step out for a moment. So, we're going to look at Auschwitz at the end of the war. Towards the end of the war, it was breaking its own record of destruction with as many as 12,000 Jews being murdered per day. By late summer 1944, after the transports from Hungary stopped, they had time to kill the Roma. They wiped out that Gypsy family camp that we talked about in a previous lesson. On August 2nd, 1944, more than 13,000 Roma had already been killed in the camp. That night, they gassed the remaining 4,300 people. The last year also saw several incidents of armed resistance. In May 1944, Sinti and Roma people in the camp in Auschwitz rebelled. And then again in October 1944, the Jewish Sonderkommando prisoners blew up crematorium number 4. Some of the explosives were provided by a Jewish woman named Rosa Robota, who is pictured here. Along with other women working in the munitions factory, they smuggled a small number of explosives to the Sonderkommando. She would actually be arrested shortly before this happened and tortured, but she did not give up any information. She was executed shortly before the Red Army liberated the camp. It was a race against destruction, and the final collapse really started. Various prisoners waited to hear news of the Allied advances, and like they were waiting for their saviors, essentially. By the fall of 1944, the Germans began to evacuate the camps and killing centers. They sent prisoners to places further away from the front lines and brought the Holocaust home to regions that had been spared the ravages of war before. So, this is where we're going to get into those death marches. It's called this due to the number of people being killed and those that died along the way. It often involved hungry and sick men, women, and children, forced to walk or ride in open trains or trucks for hundreds of miles in some cases, with the weakest and least cooperative either being shot or left to die. By January 1945, the Soviets were approaching Auschwitz. The Germans abandoned the camp, and 60,000 prisoners are sent on a death march. This includes Elie Wiesel, a leading figure in Holocaust education. Now, on April 15th, 1945, British troops will reach Bergen-Belsen, another major concentration camp. It's here that we have a quote from Richard Dimbleby, a BBC reporter, actually. He went on to say, "I have seen many terrible sights in the last 5 years, but nothing approaching the dreadful interior of this hut in Belsen. The dead and the dying lay close together. I picked my way over corpse after corpse, until I heard one voice that rose above the gentle, undulating moaning. I found a girl. She was a living skeleton. Impossible to gauge her age because she had practically no hair left on her head, and her face was only a yellow parchment sheet with 2 holes in it for eyes. Beyond her, there were the convulsive moments of dying people too weak to raise themselves from the floor." So take a moment and think about what is being described here. How does this help you build a stronger picture of what happened in the camps? So let's talk about military defeat. The Germans exacted a high price from their enemies. They'll have one final offensive in December 1944, that being the Ardennes offensive or the Battle of the Bulge. Um, German efforts to hold the Allies back only succeeded in a high cost of life. They didn't succeed in pushing the um, Allies back. In terms of casualties, 30,000 Allied troops would be killed or go missing, and 47,000 would be wounded. For the Germans, 33,000 German troops would be killed or go missing, and 34,000 would be wounded. After this, things unraveled pretty quickly. In March 1945, the Western Front had collapsed. American forces were advancing from the north, center, and the south. The Soviets were advancing from the east. And in Yugoslavia, Tito's partisans were on the offensive and actively taking down the Nazi regime there. In April 1945, the Soviets had arrived in Vienna. And in early May, the Czechs are going to revolt against the Germans as well. Now, as the Allies are getting closer and closer to Germany, many Germans came to feel the reality of the devastation. More Germans died in bombings. expulsions and the collapse of military fronts in 6 months compared to the previous 4 years of fighting. To put that into numbers, 160,000 German troops died in 1941. In 1944, that number was up to 600,000. Hitler's all or nothing mentality cheapened, well, excuse me, it made all lives cheap and expendable. Basically, if he couldn't have it, nobody was. Now, it's important to note within the ranks, there's a lot of treachery going on, and the idea of divide and conquer reaped what it sown. There was a lot of treachery among Hitler's own henchmen. In 1945, Goebbels suggested that Hitler should be the leader of Germany, but there should be someone else as the chancellor and foreign minister. Obviously, he wanted the job himself because, he wants power. Himmler and the others had toyed with peace with Britain. Himmler had even used his contacts to test the waters a little bit to see if peace was possible. The water was ice cold on that one. The British did not want to deal with him. And Goring and Foreign Minister Ribbentrop also tried to make advances. They also failed. So suffice it to say, there's a lot of higher ups in the Nazi hierarchy, like they're like one or two steps down from Hitler, that are actively subverting him and trying to develop peace. But Hitler doesn't know that. Now, Hitler was determined to keep fighting. He wasn't going to give up. And that's going to change, though. 2 days after his birthday, on April 22nd, 1945, he sank into a really deep depression. And he realized that Goring was the one to finish the job. He really should have specified what job he was talking about. He was talking about the job of finishing the war. It was a misunderstanding. Goring thought he meant take over completely. He was wrong. Goring would be arrested, and once Hitler learned of what Himmler did, like reaching out to the British, he also ordered Himmler's arrest. Himmler managed to evade capture and took his own life before the Allies could capture him. On April 29th, 1945, he wrote his will and political testament in his bunker in Berlin, known as the Führerbunker. It's within that document he admonished the German people and told them to keep fighting. Also on that day that he married his longtime mistress, Eva Braun. The next day, on April 30th, 1945, Hitler died by suicide in the bunker. This was after a quiet lunch of spaghetti and salads. Along with him, also committing suicide included Eva Braun and the whole Goebbels family, so Goebbels, his wife, and their 6 children. With Hitler dead, Admiral Karl Donitz took command. He lied to the people and said Hitler was killed in battle, rather heroically, instead of suicide. 2 days later, Berlin surrendered to the Soviets. Now, on May 8th, 1945, so a couple weeks later, Germany officially surrenders. And the reality of how Nazi rule ended really sweeps away the myth of order that had grown around Hitler's regime. There was no order or glory to Hitler's death, no heroic struggle, only cowardice. And there were a lot of promises. The Nazi Revolution had promised a new awakening of Germany. Instead, it brought death and destruction far beyond German borders. An estimated 55 million people died worldwide during World War II. With that being more than 5 million German soldiers, 27 million Soviet civilians, and the Jewish presence in Europe being pretty much almost eradicated completely. Here are the sources that were used for the development of Section 2. Now let's talk about activity number 2 real quick. You're going to watch a clip from the German film Downfall, which talks about Hitler's last days in the Führerbunker. And while you're watching the clip from the movie, consider the following. What are they debating? How does this connect back to what we just discussed? And based off of this clip, what do you think was going through Hitler's mind at this point? I will see you guys in a moment for video number 3. Bye, guys.